Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Attack Action Podcast. Tonight we have in one corner the mustached man himself. Shh, he's a secret. Colin Honingman. And in the other corner, the old standby, the old reliable, also sporting a mustache and glasses, Taylor Morrow. Yeah, let's fucking go. Rip his off, yes. What's up, Attactioneers? This is the heavy hitters season of the Attack Action Podcast. Welcome. Buckle up, Buttercup, unless you want to get in the face by this podcast audio. Colin, how are you doing?
I'm doing so good. That was the most heavy-hitting intro I've ever received in my life. So how could I not be good?
That's what she said.
I think I'm sweating now, actually. It's cold out here, but it's hot in here.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
You did say that, like, our intro is a bit mopey, and that's a perfect reenactment of how you actually sound in real life. So
Yes.
as I said, brought some sauce to put on your burrito. So there you go. You're welcome.
Well, I've humbly taken the saucy burrito, the wet burrito, if you will, and I will eat it because it is good. It's good
so
for
good.
me.
Hell yeah. Got vegetables in it. Everybody needs
Beat
those.
tummy, beat chest, let's go. Hell yeah.
That's great.
What's up, man?
Dude, I'm going to vamp a little bit about how crazy my life has been recently.
Preach. Let's hear it.
Okay, preach. Okay, so basketball season, I can't remember when I updated last, but basketball season is crazy. We have been digging ourselves out of a very low point where we got smoked by our private Catholic school rival in our home opener for league, and it was devastating. Packed house in front of everybody's friends and family, and you get embarrassed. So that was pretty tough. And then we went on the road immediately after that and played another team we should have beat by 20 and lost to them by 10. And we had a parent come out of the stands and into our locker room to fire the kids up. Like, you guys aren't playing hard enough. You guys don't love your coach. You need to play harder for, just like, wow, damn. Like, absolute, so rock bottom that a parent who just is like, man, you're doing a great job, so chill, got so fired up that they needed to go yell at children, in a positive, constructive way, which was cool. And then we had a deep, soulful talk afterwards. And we've been climbing out of that. So we're on a nice little win streak here. And the moment of truth is upon us, where we will play said rival who smoked us by 30 at their place. We're recording this on a Wednesday in 2 days' time.
Let's go.
So
Give them some of that embarrassment.
if we win, we will share a piece of the league title, which will be our third in a row. Will be the third time in the last 18 years that our school has won a league title. The last two were the last 2 previous years. And so I did this as all motivation for them too, which then we just wound up having like a really shitty practice. I was like, okay, as far back as the online data goes back to 2004. Our rival has won league 10 times. We have won it twice, which are the last 2 years. So, and then we've gotten last place 8 times. So like when I say these games mean a lot, they mean a lot, kids, especially to everybody who's at them, who has seen us historically lose a mini games to this school. So we need, this is an important game. And then we just like, I don't know if anybody else is a teacher out there, when you kind of have these big moments now, children just kind of look at you like, I'm overwhelmed, Nobody's like, gets up, and it's not like in a movie. They're like, fucking A, coach, we're going to fucking win this game. You know what I mean? And then you guys all just run out there and just like everybody's dunking for 3,
Yes, dunking for 3. Throwback to my dream in basketball.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I would be overwhelmed.
Totally fair.
But life isn't like a movie, and sometimes reality is hard to deal with. But I have questions.
I have answers.
How do you know that you should have beaten a team by 20? Is that just like a thing you say, or like you're just like, no?
Yeah. So based upon, this is how we know we should have beat this team by 20. We then so they just got beat by a team they just lost a game before we played them to a team we were about to play after them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that team beat them by 3. And then we beat that team by 30.
Okay.
So that's how you do the
Fair.
math.
All right. That makes sense.
Right.
Next.
Yeah. Okay.
Was this parent invited to the locker room, or did
No.
they just show up themselves and decided to do it?
They beat me in there. They sprinted out of the stands before I could get there.
That's awesome. Shout out to whomever's parent that is.
Hell yeah.
Doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
Hope they're a flesh and blood player. I get why you are better at dealing with the ups and downs of competition, having to suffer
Dude.
losses in front of a great big crowd of people
Yeah. Like not dozens, like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
You know?
The whole area is out there.
Yeah, totally. 2 communities worth of people, Theirs and ours.
That will toughen you up.
And then you have to go to work
send
the
you
next
packing.
day.
Yeah,
and then everybody goes,
exactly.
man, what happened? Everybody.
Yeah.
Your coworkers, students. It's just, you just have to relive the worst loss of potentially your last 5 years all over again the next day.
Oh, that's brutal. It's not funny, but it is kind of.
Dude, it's so brutal. I was so close to calling into work. It's just so
Really?
close. And I'm just like, it won't matter if I show up on Monday. They'll still have all of that stuff they wanted to ask me,
Yeah.
So that was really tough.
They're talking about the big game, but it was your big game, and
A big loss.
yeah.
Last thing that then has also happened on top of all of this, as we're a phoenix rising from the ashes here, trying to be much like Phi in the Rising Rebellion, a giant rainstorm came through and almost washed my house away. I had 360 degrees of water all around my house. And this is also kind of, look, normally, guys, we do bullshit this long before we get to flesh and blood stuff. But those of you who have deep parasocial relationships with us need this part of the podcast, and we need their listenership. Okay. So you just got to bear with us. We'll get to the flesh and blood stuff. We got a lot of juicy stuff coming, but those people need this more than you need the flesh and blood stuff. Okay. So just be patient and enjoy the ride. All right. Carrying on.
360 degrees of water.
Have a game. We have a game. So I'm in at the school, me and my beautiful wife, Maria, who is a person in her own right, go out to eat afterwards. And we're like, okay, yeah, we know our road is probably flooded. We'll be fine. Cars have been moved. Everything is fine. Our dog is with us. Cool. So we show up. We're like, we got to get there before dark. Show up. We're like, oh, damn. There is water covering the road a mile before our house. And that is atypical. Oh, look, there's friend of the podcast and my tenant and my personal friend, Levi, there at the edge of the water. We'll talk to him. And we all conferred like, okay, well, maybe it's just this part of the road is low. We'll wade through. It doesn't look that deep. And then must be dry because it's on a bend, so we can't see farther down the road. We're like, it's probably after the bend is fine. Start walking along. A dog, Hilda's, doing just fine. Now she's starting to swim. Oh, getting a little deeper. Okay, she's keeping up, swimming. Great job. Good dog, blah, blah, blah. Uh-oh.
Good dog.
It is now waist deep. And the current is strong. So now I have to hold Hilda, and we're trudging through. And then from behind us, some other neighbors show up, and they're just like, wait, we have a boat. It's flooded the whole way down. And we're like, oh, shit, this is really bad all of a sudden. And it's like freezing water, 5 o'clock at night. So we get in the boat, and it, has a shit motor. So we're paddling, and one guy's actually just still in the water pulling us along. And it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And it goes, belly button height on like a 6'1" guy. So it's like 3.5 feet deep, 4 feet deep. And then we round the bend, and it's just more water. And we're like, oh God. And so then it gets a little too shallow, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we make it to a point where after we've then have to get out of the boat, and then there's no dry land to get back on the boat to without capsizing it. We just have to kind of walk this boat to where we can then get to the woods to walk past the flood to my house. So we do that, and it's pitch black by this time. And we find Levi's girlfriend, who's at this like dry spot. She had to leave the house because now there's water in our cottage. And we walk through the woods, and we show up to the property, and it's just water is everywhere. But it did not get into the main house. But poor, shout out to Levi and Ellen, got into their house. And so we're now dealing with that. So I had a very stressful night where 4 more inches of water in our house, and we're super fucked. So thankfully that is not the case, but it's pretty wild when you're like looking out your front door and there's a literal river rushing in front of your, whatever it is, your front door. And it's not the street. It's just all water.
Yeah. And I've been to your house.
Yeah.
And your porch is very, very high.
Yeah.
So when he said that, I was like, holy shit. And I also know that the river is like down over there.
Yeah.
So that was worrying, and I hope Levi gets through it. But, I'm glad everyone could be here for And the Water Rises, a Taylor Morrow story of harrowing basketball, heroics, and real life flood survival.
Dude, it was nuts.
Get you neighbors with the boat.
Yeah, totally. I ran into that kid who helped save us with the boat, like when the road flooded again this weekend, but just like so mild comparatively. And he was like, the part about being rural sometimes is a good thing because they're really disaster prepared.
Yeah.
The Herta Hattas or whatever. And he was like,
They're
well, I got a new motor on the boat, so I'll just flown by if you need me. And I'm just like, cool. I don't know why you have this accent. We're in Northern California, but awesome, dude.
Dude, country is country no matter where you are.
Totally it is. So
I've met people from all over California who you're like, wow, that is a drawl on you, sir. Great job.
Yeah.
In live update news, so you may have seen an earthquake I experienced just right now.
Oh, shit.
So that's fun.
Are you okay? Nothing fell off your shelves.
No, it was just a little thing. I saw my microphone stand do a little wiggle, and it was about 4.5 out of San
decent.
Bernardino.
That's decent.
Not to bring up the Bernards.
Yeah, that's too close of a word.
Too close. Those who must not be named. Yeah. So sorry, I got a little distracted.
It's all good.
When I was like, "Is this it?"
Yeah, totally.
As you say every time.
The greatest podcast ever is just when you survive the earthquake and keep going. That's how much of a professional you are.
It's okay. I got my dog right here. We'll be okay. My wife is safe in the other room. I'm in the room with all the fall hazards. So, Anyways,
I was going to make some sort of stupid joke about masculinity or something like that, but it's antiquated and doesn't need to be said. So
masculinity is a joke. Boom.
Boom. All right,
Wow.
podcast over.
That's all. That's all very. That was a lot of things that
It was.
happened to you.
I know.
And
I know.
I'm glad that you guys are you're getting out of your rut. You're making a comeback. That's always a great underdog story.
Yeah.
Gonna get that three-peat. I mean, it's just you're doing a great job. You don't worry about that.
We'll see.
Kids are gonna be kids.
I'm trying. Yeah.
You can't really control them.
No.
You can just try your best.
Yeah.
It's like when you shuffle up a deck of good cards and you're like, well, I hope I don't just pull all the bad ones right off the bat. Sometimes you do.
Yeah. It's very true. Colin, has anything been happening in your life worthy of 15 minutes?
Fuck, I don't think so.
Nice.
No, I just been working a lot.
How's
Learned
work?
a lot about microprocessors.
Mm-hmm.
It's going.
Okay.
We're doing a big Super Bowl installation. So
How many
raring up for
gigantic
that.
robots are there in this one?
Just one regular sized robot. Actually, the same size ones that we used on Beyonce, which look bigger because they're on big, tall stands, but they're like, I guess they're me-sized if they're all totally stretched out, so that's kind of big, I guess.
It's a big robot. That's
They're,
fun.
They're cute. They're the cute robots, not the scary ones that will murder you.
Right
And
now,
I don't mean like,
until Skynet gets
sentient.
a hold of them.
yeah, not like the sentient robots that'll murder you, just like robots that will not stop when they hit you and they will just continue to push through your body. We use those ones too, and they always make me nervous. These ones, they'll stop. They'll be like, "Oh, I hit something. I'm stopping." You're like, "Thanks, bud. That's good. It's a good robot." Yeah,
Ding,
so
ding,
just
ding.
doing a lot of that. And I got sick last Friday, I think, after maybe from going to the AGE Open the week before. Who knows? I seem to be the only one who got sick, so maybe not. I don't know. Not COVID, but something not great. So I'm on the mend. I sound a little more nasally than usual and a bit hoarse. So you're welcome, and I'm sorry
I
in
think
whatever order you like.
people like it when your voice does a thing. In general, not you, but in general. Podcast audio files.
When you've got the sickness, like, it's a good time to record vocals for like singing and stuff, because you can do some weird stuff because
Yeah.
your vocal cords are kind of just like, I don't know what's going on.
Excellent.
But I don't sing much except to my dog constantly, so not much recording going on there. But anyways, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I don't know. Yours was more exciting, so what can I say?
It's all right. It's hard to follow embarrassing defeats and natural disasters. So
Yeah,
I don't
basically
blame
the plot to Air Bud.
Yeah.
How do I follow that?
you. Yeah, totally. Doesn't say dogs can't play. It's in That's what I need. I need a dog. I need some fucking dogs on my team.
Bring Hilda and win the game. See how that goes.
She would be awesome. She would be so good.
Yeah.
Although she does go for
Yeah.
fakes, but she is definitely in really good shape and is a fucking bruiser.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I think we're going to jump over the news because we're talking a lot of topical things today. And we do have a shout out.
Yeah, totally. Well, just shout out to our boy Zane, who in the first AGE Open makes it to the finals. Just handsome
Well-
as fuck, doing his thing with Azalea,
Yeah. It was, wait, was he finals? No, he was semifinals.
Sorry. Pardon me. Semifinals. That's what I meant.
But still good.
Still very
Great
good.
job, Zane.
Yeah. Just a great homie. So he's also on the mend as well, being sick. So hope you're feeling much better, Zane.
Oh, well then he also got sick in at the AGE.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. He said he got the flu
we
bad.
found it. I'm patient 0. He's patient 0.5.
There you go.
I hope it wasn't too bad.
So
Yeah, no, it was great. Great event. Actually, that would be, we'll talk about that in a second. But first, we're going to plug ourselves. If you'd like to support this here show, you can do one or more of the following items. And I'll start from free to most expensive. For free, go leave a review on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify. It's real easy. Just go do it. I'd love to see us get more than a couple reviews. I know you're on there. Spotify listeners, it's right there. You just open your phone and go boop, boop, put a little thing. Appreciate y'all listening. 2, you could tell a friend. Totally free. I understand if you don't. I don't tell some of my friends that I have a podcast because I don't think they'd be interested. But you should tell your friends who love Flesh and Blood that you like this podcast.
Yeah.
And they should like it too. Thank you in advance. Number 3, you can join our Patreon. Boom. This one costs money, but it's like very cheap. I think you can do it for $4 a month.
$1 a week.
I've spent more money on things that I have immediately forgotten about. So, you could do this. Support our show so that we can continue making content and expand how we do this. We have recently suffered the loss, not, in life, just, in the podcast of Isaac Jessen leaving the show, hopefully for, maybe it's temporary. I don't know. We said a lot of things last time. I don't know if they were true about him coming back, but he could. You never know. He's a wild card. He does what he wants. He's a man who does what he wants. I was hoping I was going to think of something, but I didn't.
He is a man.
So
that's correct.
He is a man. He once had a mustache. It was great.
Yeah.
But we're looking at perhaps expanding the team a little bit. We've upgraded our recording abilities. Shout out to I'm going to call him our technical producer, Greg Greiner, for hooking us up with some sweet software and giving me some audio mixing tips, which I was only too proud to ask for 3 one
years.
episode of mixing the podcast. Well, no, I guess, for 3 years of doing it, the video. But thanks, Greg. He's the best. And he helps out like every single podcast in the Flesh and Blood community. He's just holding us all up with his greatness and magnanimous behavior. So yes, please think about supporting us through Patreon. You can pretty much, you get access to our Discord and our paywalled podcast, the Time Snap Potion, where we crack that Time Snap Potion, get an extra action point, and talk about whatever the fuck we want to. It's fun. And you get to join our really positive and nice community of people that support this show. It is the most positive Flesh and Blood Discord I belong to, and I love being there. And I like everyone has reasonable takes on all the things that happen, which we'll get into more of that later. So yes,
I just want to say about the podcast, the Discord, that it is for sure become the place where I just share stuff all of the time. I'm just the community there is so positive that's where I want to share things. So when my house floods, the Discord knows before other parts of my life. I definitely told my mom, but it's that's where I put those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, detailed diagrams of how high the water was.
Yeah, totally. Stuff like that. Yeah, at one point it was above my head and I'm 6 feet tall. But so like, you know, you post stuff on Twitter, or then you have it linked to your Instagram, and that links to your Facebook, and it just blasts to all three of those things. And you make one post to all three of those things. For me, I just most of the time am posting it to Discord and letting people know my thoughts and stuff, just because that's where I feel safe and the engagement is fun, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I feel
Yeah.
about it.
You don't have to worry that somebody is just going to come and shit on you for sharing your opinion on something. You can just do it, and people will share their opinions and support each other, and it's just a good time. So think about it. I understand money can be tight, and so if all you do is listen, we thank you.
Totally.
So that's our plug for us. And now we will.
Well, technical thing. I think we got a new patron, and we haven't seen them in the Discord yet. And so
check your email.
Check your email. If that doesn't work, get at us on Twitters. It's a great way to slide into the DMs. Let us know, because we don't see you in the Discord, and just got to make sure that automated email still going out with the invite. That still works. So please let me know. Okay, that's it.
We wish you were here.
Yep. We look forward to it.
So shall we mosey into the main topic?
Oh, your mosey sound effects were way different than mine.
Thanks.
It's okay. Everybody moseys different, you know?
That's true.
Yours is
that's
with
good.
Bell bottoms and too many buttons undone on your high collared shirt, but somehow just
don't know
the
what
right
that
amount
means,
of buttons.
because there can't be too many buttons undone on my shirt. Not with this amount of chest hair.
Yeah, I have
want
none.
To see.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, fun fact
That is
about
true.
me. Yeah.
That is true. I've seen you without a shirt. Anyways, here we are. We have arrived at the main topic. Boom. And guess what? It's a bunch of topics. We're going to talk about AGE. We're going to talk about the early preview drama. We're going to talk about ELO qualifications, aka Grindergate. We're going to talk about the James White interview at the Celebrational in Queenstown that we're also going to talk about, and the Calling at Queenstown. And I think that's covers everything we're going to talk. Oh, and we're going to talk about some spoilers because all the cards are out now. What?
Dude, is my face melted? Because it feels like it's melted now.
Yeah, this might be like a 3-hour podcast if we're not careful. But let's see. We'll find out. Let's just,
Let's go along on this ride. Here we go.
Find out. All right. So, as we talked about previously, AGE, Arcane Games and Events, the local grassroots competition and organization down here in Southern California, spearheaded by one Justin LeWog, has started the 2024 Open Series. We did this last year where we had, I think, 10 opens. Each one was for $1K. That is a $1,000. And then everyone gets points for participating and ranking. And then the top 16 from the year are invited to the Players' Championship, which I think was a 5K. I might be wrong. Anyways, it's a bigger one. It's just 16 players. It was pretty sweet. And now we're doing it again. So we had our first one last week, not this last week, I don't know, a week and a half ago. It doesn't matter.
Between the last
in
podcast
January.
and this podcast.
That's right. Yeah. It happened in January. That's all that really matters. We had a record-setting 61 players for us, which was pretty good, considering we had to share the space with like a big Magic event. So there was like 100+ people at Collector Legion down there in Hawthorne, California, which is probably why I got sick. Mask up, people. There's many kinds of illness out there. And yeah, it was a great time. Got to commentate with my good friend and personal ally, Blake Meyer. I don't know. Yeah, he's my ally. Yeah, we're fighting together against something.
Injustice, just in general.
As well as the the illustrious Sam O'Byrne came down to commentate with us, as well as Bryce, whose last name I forget.
New face. He was a new face.
One of our local players who is just a delight to be around. So a lot of fun, pretty diverse meta. Almost every hero represented. 6 Bravos had the best conversion rate, as 3 of them made it to the top 8. And the main Luber himself, Alan Lube, took it down for
Lubers
the first
rise up.
one. Lubers rise up. Just a nice guy. I really like Alan.
Dude.
Lube. I don't know if he listens, but
I don't know if he does
You're
either.
great.
Alan is the best. I think he kind of listens.
yeah, maybe sometimes. But yeah, he did a deck tech on his channel about his Kano killing 9-0 Bravo deck. Bravo seems pretty good. We both agreed that Bravo's probably hitting LL this year. Seems like he is positioned to do that. So if you like Bravo, get in on that while you can. So yeah, that was it. We'll be back February 10th. I'm pretty sure I'll be there. If not, you should still watch it, even though I'm not there. I have a new segment called Toxic Tips, where I do something silly instead of Ponder with Colin, where I just would talk about things and I thought was kind of boring. So this past week, or this past open, I did Flesh and Blood Heroes and If I Would Date Them.
Yeah.
So check it out. It was fun.
Awesome.
I think it was funny. I don't normally write funny things. I just am funny spontaneously around other people. So who knows?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great new segment, and I always enjoy the AGE coverage because it's the full package. You know, the camel quality is good. The transitions are good. You know, it's just a well put on stream, and all of the commentators, just to shine a little sunlight up your ass, are all entertaining and knowledgeable. And I think that's really key, you know, to be both of those things at the same time.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. So if you haven't checked it out, check out age.events. They got all their information there. If you're in the Southern California area, come to February 10th. They have early bird special on ticket pricing, so get in on that while it's hot. And hopefully I'll see you there.
Hopefully. Not me. Still basketball season. Playoff time, baby.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Let's
All right, what's next?
let's get into some drama.
Ooh.
Okay. Enough of this positive bullshit.
Sauce.
Let's get this burrito dripping wet with sauce. So people were upset. So we have the celebration, which is like a whole other topic, which is where LSS is like, all right, we're going to celebrate being a company, having people who are passionate about the game, and we're going to make this like thing that kind of was cool. But part of that was this is like a Tri-Wizard format, basically, where you have all these different formats, and one of the formats was you had to build a classic constructed deck with only heavy hitter cards. So you basically got a master set of everything except for like the Fable for all of the 15 people that were in that tournament for them to build a deck out of. In said celebration tournament are some of the best professional level players in the world, not in just a certain region, but period world period. And so they get a early look at all of the cards and get to have theories, etc. on that, which some people then pointed out is an advantage when we have a calling coming up and The set is draftable, so it's will be at professional level events, etc., that sort of thing. So people
Well,
were
it's a sealed calling.
sealed
That's
calling into draft. So people were pretty upset about that advantage and had a lot of thoughts and opinions, and it got a little nasty where people were being a little bit too personal to the people who are just trying to have a sweet vacation in New Zealand. So that's the drama.
Yeah.
Here are my
People
thoughts.
had feelings.
Yeah. This is how I feel.
All right.
I think that a couple of things. Man, there's a lot. So LSS kind of continues to do these things, right? Year after year. And it's part of their company growing is that they don't think or like foresee they don't have anybody whose job it seems like is to foresee, is this going to be a problem? And could we solve that by making a statement, moving things around, etc.? Some people's solutions were like, just have preview season a little earlier so everybody gets the cards at the same amount of time. Super simple fix, right? And they just continually do these like minor little things like this that, kind of blow up. And I don't know if they think at the company that it's like, well, it's just the internet being the internet, which is true. But we also know the internet is going to be the internet. You know what I mean?
Which is true.
So we all live there. So I would love these things to start getting ironed out in that way. So, or at least have somebody who can like give an actual, whose job it is to give the statement when there is a thing like this. You know what I mean? That is an area I would love to see them grow in. So this is just another example of that happening. That being said, this in quotations issue is for the 1% of the 1%, right? Which it makes it understandable that LSS is like, whatever, Twitter, go crazy, because there's only a few people at the celebration who are like so good, and then they make up the smallest percentage of the player base, right?
Yeah.
But if I were a person in direct competition with those people at the 1% of the 1%, I might be a little upset because of my competitive nature, right?
Yep.
But for Joe Schmo and Karen Schmerin over here, they are not even close, and it doesn't even matter. They could have a 2-year head start, and Mr. Best in the world and Mr. Second Best in the world and Mrs. First Best in the world, blah, 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 will still be you. You know what I mean? So is it really a big issue? No. But could we have had better PR around it? Yes. Last point here. Competition, sports, etc., where there's a winner or a loser and there's skill involved, are never fair. Ever. So if you're worried about blah, 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 this and that, just know it's never fair. Ever. And that's just how it goes. But then at the same time, you're like, well, I know it's never fair. I would like it to be as fair as possible. Totally. But can I help that I'm only 6 foot and have a passion for basketball, and I'm only like a few tidbits above average athletically? No. Would I have had a different life if I was 6'8"? Absolutely. Would I be on a podcast? Yes, but it would be for probably sports, not for this dumb game, and that's not fair. So there you go. Thoughts, Colin?
I don't know if I have anything to add to that.
Thanks for letting me just go off this podcast. It's like I've never talked to anybody ever.
It's been a minute since we talked, so there's some pent up ideas in there. No, I agree. I think it was blown out of proportion. I think there was a bit of envy going on. People were like, well, I'm not there and I didn't get these things.
Totally.
And I'm
That's
mad
a
about
whole
it.
other can of worms for
They don't
sure.
want to deal with their actual feelings. I had those feelings. It was like, that's really cool. They got like a sweet tour. But, I think the thing that I didn't understand until it was happening was that the Celebrational was LSS celebrating themselves and inviting some people to do it with them.
Yeah.
Which, like, I'm not saying that's a negative thing, like, but like there was a bunch of people there and they were mostly LSS employees. And that's cool. That's them doing a thing. They're hyped. They should get to do some fun stuff.
Absolutely.
It seemed, I think from the PR point of view, it seemed like it was a celebration of like the community, but it really wasn't. It was a celebration of them, and they invited some, key community people that they like to come hang out. And that's totally something they can do. And anyone who's worried, I mean, if I had spent all the money to fly out there for that calling, and then I heard that, Brody Spurlock gets access to all the cards like a week before I do, I feel a little bummed. I don't know. I don't go on Twitter about it because that's not who I am. And some people want to try to have a discourse there, but that's not really, it just doesn't work for discourse to anybody.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, really not the best place for it. But I get the feeling, but in the end, did it give an unfair advantage? No, because none of those people were in the top 8. Darren Ying won, who was like some other, famous New Zealand card player, which like was there with his son, which was dope. So it's like all of this energy wasted. I think, your opinion is your opinion. If you'd like to share it, that's fine. But stop trying to convince everyone that your opinion is better.
Yeah.
Don't really care. I guess we're talking about it now too. But
Well, it's fine.
It is a thing where it is kind of like, you're right. It wasn't the smartest move that they didn't think that, they could have been like, hey, these people aren't going to be playing in the calling because, they've been given this, or, I think the funny thing was like, they didn't even sign NDAs. And you're like, are you there with them? Do you know what's going on?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
leave them alone. Like,
Yeah.
stop trying to ruin their good time. Like, I don't know. So, yeah. Anyways, on to the next controversy. Hitting the topical news up front. ELO qualifications have changed for Nationals qualifiers and Pro Tour in the past. And, spoiler alert, they told us this was going to happen, but people still have many feelings about it. And I understand both sides of it. Basically, the update is that no longer can you qualify for the Pro Tour or large Nationals events through 90-day experience windows, which to me is great. The 90-day experience window was weird. They would tell you it was active like halfway through it, and then it would just get everyone to go grind, which is why this is Grindergate. They would grind the local armories in the big areas where they can go to a lot of them, and it just kind of made everything feel less fun at armories, to be honest. And, some people go, oh, not everyone's doing it. It was like, yeah, there's a lot of people doing it. There's a lot of people who qualify for it that way. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry that they're not going to anymore. But they did say this was going to happen. So it's the time to focus your game on ELO, figuring out how to raise that up, picking specific events to go to, really, practicing for those to get yourself in there. I think there's some weird stuff around how it doesn't degrade if you don't play. So someone with a high ELO who doesn't play for 5 years will still get invited. I'm sure they'll figure this out, and be like, oh, we should stop inviting this person who doesn't play anymore.
Yeah.
But, the aim was to make armories more community focused, friendlier for new players. And that's what they should be. On the flip side of that, I think that the promos they've been giving out for armories are bad. So they should make those better so that people will just have more fun in armories just for the promos, which would be nice for everybody who goes. These extended art promo cards of cards you'd never play in your deck are, I don't know what to do with them. They're just over there in a stack. They're right over there. You see them. They're back.
Mine are just still stuck in the deck box I take to Armory and are like Pringles now.
Exactly. They're always Pringles. So yeah, it is a change because the game's getting more mature. And I think it will expose some issues with ELO and how that's handled, but that'll be good because we'll get those fixed. So, that's the new thing. And then if your country has a small enough nationals, you can just go. So that's cool.
Shout out to those countries.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think everything you said, Colin, I agree with. The Armory should not be for grinders. You know what I mean? Like, that should just be for people going to play the game just to play the game. You know what I mean? That's like not your testing ground for nationals or for worlds or whatever. I mean, it is in some areas just historically because of the concentration of good players in urban areas and, stores not being as prevalent running events as it is in some other areas, so makes sense. The 90-day XP never affected me because I live in the middle of nowhere and we have one armory. That happens sometimes, and there's max 8 people that show up. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not that great anyway. And these things are just going to continue to change over the course of the game, right? At one point in basketball, there was no 3-point line.
You couldn't even dunk for 3 of that. You couldn't dunk for a while too, right? It was illegal.
Yeah, exactly. And you guess what? Now there's a 3-point line and you can windmill slam a jamma. And people love it.
Yes, we can, we say.
But it took people a while to, there was obviously gripes like, 3 points are ruining the game. Dunking is ruining the game, blah, blah, blah. And now here we are. And it's like, well, you can't dunk or shoot a 3? Well, you suck. Right? So
Dunkaroo, baby.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's not really literally the same thing, but I believe intelligent people will understand my meaning behind that analogy. End of sentence.
So he just called you out. If you don't understand it, you're not intelligent.
Correct.
Or you just don't know what a basketball is. That could also be the thing.
That's like those people in the comments of stuff, they're like, no way Star Wars is an analogy to the, whatever, Vietnam or Korean War, unless the U.S. is the empire. And that's crazy. You're just like, they've done all of the math. They found the solution and they're just like, no, it's wrong. You know what I mean? That's the same thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Yeah. To me, I think the positive side of this, I hope, is this encourages people to bring more fun decks to Armory to try things out.
Yeah.
Let's break out of just trying to make our own micro version of like the professional meta, which again is hard in like LA where half these dudes go to all the pro tours. So, they're all very good. So they're just playing the decks that they want to play that are good. But yeah, I mean, I that's my hope is that we can try things out. We can have a little bit more fun. You don't have to worry so much that it means something more than just getting a chance to come together and play. Because for me, more and more, that's what armories are. It's just when I get to go play.
Yeah, and that's what it should be used for.
Yeah,
so. And it puts. I'm all about this. Put more pressure on your performance. Like, okay, here's an ELO rated event. Got to perform.
Yeah, win road to nationals. Win.
It's a skill. Do well at
What
a
are the Pro
calling.
Tour ones called?
ProQuest.
The ProQuest, that's it. I was like, what are they calling it? I don't know, because I don't go, because I am not going to win. So why even bother chancing ruining someone else's day by beating them on the first round?
No way. You should go. It's fun. It's a good experience.
I just haven't had time lately.
For you, where you live, it's going to be no different than an armory.
Yeah, it'll just be longer.
Yeah,
and I'll still owe 3 drop, but at least there'll be more people around to tell about it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay, so
fuck yeah,
James White did a pretty good interview. I enjoyed it. I flew with Fluke from Fluke and Box.
Yeah, he was very candid.
It was nice. They definitely have a rapport, and I enjoy Fluke's just kind of attitude for the most part. So it was a good interview. I think you fielded some questions from the internet, so it was kind of a community interview, which is nice. But it was it wasn't like the thing where there's a guy filming this on their phone at the Pro Tour, and it's like the camera's shaking and you can't hear anything as James White's voice echoes into eternity. So it was a nicely produced little interview.
The most perfect hero I've ever created. My name is James White.
Flesh and blood players.
Yeah.
I'm just yelling.
Flesh
over
and
him
blood
the whole time.
players, please.
Yeah. So
Now-
I think a couple highlights.
Yeah,
Couple
go
highlights
for it.
from the interview for me. One was that the new templating of the cards, which you may have noticed in Bright Lights, where it's kind of the solid black border and the straight line on the kind of art of the card, rather than previously it kind of like had a little scoop that I always really liked. It was very nice.
Same.
Design on the card. That has changed due to the need for multi-language printing, or not the need. Well, yeah, the need and the fact that they are doing multi-language printing, and that they actually print the language identifier on the card to make sure that their quality control is good, because apparently a bunch of Spanish cards got in French decks, or it was like they switched the language of a couple cards in different sets, and it was just like, okay, yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah.
If you're just like, why? It's kind of funny, but also not what you ordered. So I get it. So nice to hear why that happened and that it makes sense, because it was like, I don't like this because it changed, and we don't like change except sometimes. So that was the thing. The other big thing that people were not in a hubbub about, but I think very interested about, was the fact that Everfest Unlimited did get printed, and then they destroyed all of it except for like 11 cases and some that got shipped to a store in New Zealand that they just didn't give back. So they're like, if you can find it, it's out there. So in a weird inverse, market and supply and demand thing, the Everfest Unlimited is the most rare set ever made of Flesh and Blood, and they will kind of release it for fun things, they said, which is kind of cool. It's controversially, Taylor said it was not a great set, and everyone pointed out how many good power cards are in there.
Yeah,
But
shout out to
that wasn't
Bryn.
the point.
Shout out to Bryn from the Banish Zone. Great person
yeah.
on Twitter. Love every take they have. Might be my favorite person on Twitter, who's just like a regular person out there tweeting at people. My favorite tweets they make are like, what do you mean? Or sometimes it's like even as blunt as, are you stupid? Shit like that. Just love it. Just not afraid. Always on point.
I like, not trying to, mince words. Okay, other one. This one was good. Flesh and Blood almost called Deathmatch as a game, which, when I got to compare them, I don't know how I feel about either title. But the Deathmatch Arena being kind of a throwback to that original name, and there might even be some original designs around logos and such around Deathmatch, which would be fun to see at some point.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Oh, I thought this was good too. Dashio was going to be an adult data doll, but the devs were like, we need to ban multiprocessor preemptively or else this is going to ruin CC.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense because you just get all your equipment out, all your items out there, which would be pretty sweet. But yeah, that was an interesting one to think. He didn't explain too much, but it wasn't clear if Dashio's power was the same or if it was just like adult Data Doll kind of did the same thing as young Data Doll. And they just couldn't balance that, so they came up with a new Dash that kind of like, played on both of their skills and had a cool lore connection of like absorbing Data Doll into Dash's kind of brain or something. I don't really know how that worked, but I thought it was fun. It was cool to hear that.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked those little insights, a peek behind the curtain of what's going on at LSS and development and that sort of thing, especially because then he talked about later in Heavy Hitters about how they had a different warrior, a couple of different heroes for the Olympia hero, and ultimately it just like kind of didn't work out for Classic Constructed, so they kind of went with Olympia as their hero of choice for the set and for Classic Constructed balance-ness, etc. And they might revisit those heroes and that sort of thing. So I thought that was really cool to hear that stuff. But they ultimately sounded 100% more interesting than Olympia does. Although I did the shout out to Fresh and Buds with Dead Summer Art. Those are like some of the best episodes that podcast does for sure, because Dead Summer Art, aka Kale, has so much insight and memorization of what's going on in the lore and knows what's going on that it's just really good. So Olympia's story is kind of a little bit cooler than his generic fantasy NPC vibe,
Yeah. I saw someone had a great tweet. I forget who it was. They're like, when is Olympia's signature weapon of like a palm frond going to be released?
Yeah. So good. So good.
That was great. That's when Twitter is good. Yeah, that was interesting. There was going to be a hero called Bookie that is, just even more on the nose than Betsy.
Yeah, right.
That did lots of wagering. But yeah, it's cool to hear that. I'm curious too how many heroes they just kind of have in their design space where they're just like, oh, is this the set for this hero? Like, are they just playing with a bunch of heroes that don't exist yet all the time and being like, yeah, I think this one's ready for this next set? Like, I mean, I'm sure they're doing it for like the sets that are coming out, but like beyond that, like how many heroes just kind of exist on a wall that they can just pull from that they can play with? Which
I bet they have like, in rotation, like, okay, team, let's all create a new Flesh and Blood hero. It's you got 4 hours, figure it out. We'll come back, talk about them, and then go away, refine them. Stuff like that. I'm sure they do that pretty regularly because you got to have a lot of ideas, or just reprint the same heroes. I don't know.
And then they come back with Olympia. The first time each of your attacks wins a wager, create a gold token. Like, you didn't try very hard on that one, did you?
Late in development, had to get it out there. Had to do something.
That was a low blow. I'm just teasing, Brian.
I don't think he listens to this podcast.
He doesn't, but in case he does, I'm just teasing.
Colin, what are your thoughts?
They did say they have big plans for Olympia in the future sets. So
yeah, and Betsy
my
too.
My life is over.
Yeah,
Warriors are just going to ruin my life.
Well, it seems like everybody's kind of missing a more signature weapon in this set that they can't draft. So I feel like that's what's coming, maybe potentially, or something like that. Colin, thoughts about Majestic Heroes? James White just opened up that whole interview about the Majestic Rarity Heroes and how he sees it being a two-pronged assault to the community. Wow. One being giving the heroes the adult heroes their importance, their respect of the importance they have by putting them at the majestic rarity, and the excitement new players or players might have when opening packs and getting, oh, here's this hero, adult version, awesome. That's my guy or girl or person now because they're rare. Isn't that cool? And what are your thoughts about that idea?
Well, he's just wrong, Taylor. It is not exciting to open a majestic hero. It feels like you missed out on a actual majestic card you want. But other than that, I think it makes sense to make room for tokens you need for limited play. That makes total sense. It isn't a lot to ask people to spend $2 on a card to buy a hero. You don't actually need it for like armories, I don't think. You can just proxy it in if you want. So I get all that, and I would be like, it's dumb. But you know what? They put Marvel versions of all the heroes in this set, so, that's where you're going to be like, hell yeah. I pulled a Marvel Betsy. I am stoked. She's my girl.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
It is, but it's, no one's excited that they pulled adult, Dashio or, whatever. What's that other Max, the Hype Nitro? Like, you're just like, okay, cool. I guess I have this hero now. So at least I don't have 100 copies of him. So that's better, but
Totally.
Yeah.
I have
Also related, the mini snap, miniature tokens that they've done are kind of funny.
I think it's awesome. It looks pretty funny on stream, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're cute.
Yeah, super cute. I'm in agreement with you, Colin. Never once have I pulled a hero at majestic rarity and been like, like, what did I pull out of the last set? Like already dead out of a pack up for a hero that I like and, that I know is going to be $20. Like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never am I like, yay, max.
Yeah.
Or that's the level I'm at. Yay, max.
I think in like when Arachne was first released, and I think that he was at, or they were at a majestic rarity, like that felt okay because it's a supplementary set, and it was like, okay, cool, like I got this hero, and I don't have like 40 copies of them, and I've got the pool to start trying out this new class. Like that felt okay, but I think in regular sets it's just kind of just give us the double-sided token that has the adult and the young person, and then you print the tiny tokens for all the other tokens you need to fit in.
Yeah,
there.
totally. It seems like they have
Whatever.
a solution to this. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to change it now. Probably not. So who cares?
Yeah.
It'll be a problem when I got to buy Betsy for $2.
You're going to pull that Marvel.
Dude, I would love to pull Betsy Marvel. I hope I don't pull a young one, to be honest. That's the only thing that I'm afraid of. God, if I pull an Olympia Marvel, ugh.
Maybe that's just
Terrible.
what you should do then, is you're just Olympia. What if that happens? You're like, okay, I'll just play this guy because I have the Marvel. And then you just win the Pro Tour. And you're like, I guess this is me
I'm
now.
a warrior main now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Generic warrior main guy.
I have thought about facing my fears and playing warrior on a stream, which I might do sometime soon. Maybe get Blake to come coach me live on stream.
That sounds fun as hell.
Some warrior stuff. Yeah, I thought that would be fun. So, I should do it. I should face my bias and my fear of warrior and really get in there and decide for real if I hate it or if I just don't like losing to it.
Shout out to Thomas in the Discord is throwing together. He's a brew master. He loves brewing, and he's brewed up Agility Dorinthia. And I was looking at his list and I was like, this is cool as hell. What a cool new way to play this hero. I thought it was rad.
I was like, why didn't I see this? Because I have the Warrior channel muted.
Whoa. Intense.
It's real, y'all.
It is real.
I have issues.
It's
all right. So last thing.
It's cool. Yeah. Go ahead.
From James White's interview is that he has no fears and he's the Chad we all knew he was. So like, shout out,
that was pretty
shout out
baller.
to Jimmy Blanco.
Yeah.
He seems like a nice guy. Maybe one day I won't be too shy to talk to him.
You missed your
Isaac and I
chance.
just awkwardly handed him our tokens and just was like, "Here you go," and then walked away.
At
anyways.
Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah,
Worlds 1.
it's great.
Is that what we're calling it? Worlds 1?
Yeah, well, World 0 because I think they figured out how to do it better now.
Cool. 0 World.
All right, and now it's time to celebrate good time. Come on. Da, da, da. All right,
Okay, you can't go
will we
longer.
get sued?
Yeah, don't get sued.
YouTube might come after us. If they flag us, I'll let you know in the comments. All right. Celebrational. It was an event-packed week. Celebrational. Heavy Hitters World Premiere. Heavy Hitters Sealed Calling. Team Sealed Battle Harden. Wow. It was a fun exclusive event.
Okay. So
And then
I don't mean to be critical or negative. I feel like I've just been so critical of LSS and their choices recently, and I'm starting to like feel bad because I truly think they are a very good company doing good stuff, and they're like kind of maybe way too accessible to the public and that sort of thing, and I appreciate all of that, and it's still very player focused, etc. But there are just these like weird things that just like stick in my craw. You know what I mean? And
right there in your...
yeah, and the celebrational is kind of one of them, you know? And it's totally fine if it's, I speak for no one but myself when I say these things. Unless you agree with me, then I'm speaking for you as well. And you, I mean the audience. So I think it's such a cool idea what they did was invite people to do this thing, and we'll stream it, and you know it'll be we're going to do some things on stream with the cards and the events and stuff that we haven't really done before, and let's see what that looks like. That'll be cool, and we'll get to know these people who maybe don't have the spotlight or aren't people who are on Twitter or have a YouTube or a podcast, blah, 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 you know, etc. Some of those people, other people, they do have those things, you know? So it's just be a cool mix of what our community has to offer. But I feel like it fell short on whatever it was trying to be as to everybody else. I think if you were there, it was probably fucking dope as shit and so much fun, you know? But again, they like didn't think this through, that they're like, oh yeah, and then we could, as an afterthought, showcase this to the millions of people we have who want to watch stuff Flesh and Blood related. You know, I don't know if it had millions of people. There were definitely like 1,000 people watching at once live, you know? So it just, I think it fell short in that regard to us at home. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I feel like I lost it a little bit there.
No, I think you made sense. I think this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, like where the celebrational seemed like they were celebrating us who play the game. They were really celebrating them who make the game and inviting some people who play it to celebrate with them.
Yeah.
Which like I said, is fun for them. It would have been so cool to like learn more about their company. How do they make this game? Who are the people making this game? I think we saw a couple of the devs and like, somebody from HR was playing on stream or something. It was like, I didn't even realize that the players invited were playing against a bunch of like LSS employees and not just developers. And I thought that was just like really fun. It just would have been cooler rather than just show us like, games the whole time, to show us like, and maybe they did this and they have to like edit the, post production, the video together, and they're going to show us like a tour of the thing and, the stuff they did while they were there, which if they do, I would really enjoy seeing that. Cause I don't know how this is made, and I think it would be so cool and it'd be great. Like if I ever go to New Zealand, I'm going to write them and see if I can come by the studio. And,
Absolutely.
Like get a tour or something like, not that they would do it for me, but I'll ask.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So I think that's what you're touching on. It would have been cool to see that. I think, taking the time to really big up the people they brought there rather than just having like Flake and Craig, like explain who they are, kind of briefly and vaguely. Like, it's just like, give us an interview, give us,
yes,
fun.
Yes.
Like, and we got like, I think,
Yas,
as far as like an event of like fun games, I think they did that. It was fun to see, Underdog Blitz, aka Living Lurkers, and the kind of pre-con, pre-con, I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then like the heavy hitters solo, like building out a whole deck. Like, that was interesting. The 3-hour best of 3 finals was not super interesting, to be honest. 2-hour game is not what I want to watch. But all the ideas were interesting. It was they were having fun with it, and that's cool. But I think they just kind of like, they kept the fun parts to themselves mostly, which was kind of the thing everyone was like already feeling left out about. It was like, oh man, this is so cool. And then like, you don't really give us any idea of like what you did and like,
Absolutely. Like, dude, totally.
I don't know.
Same page. They're like, oh, I'm fired up.
I'm going to have to start disagreeing with you or people are going to get bored.
No, I think that's exactly it. Is like, some of those people, I had no clue who they were, I'm like, who is Kelvin? Can we freaking talk to this guy? What is his goddamn origin story? Does he like chocolate or vanilla? Neither. Awesome. Cool. He's a strawberry guy. Whatever. Like, just the fact that the announcers, Flake and Craig, just kind of like you said, vaguely talked about who they were and vaguely knew what all the cards were, made for like not a fun stream. When we could have been like, here's this interview we did with the secretary and then the people in the mail room, and here's a quick like GoPro cam footage of the offices and people working, and like, then what is the story like how was it traveling here? What things have you seen? Have you never been out of your country before? And this is the first time, like just all of these things, like, there's like all of these.
Watch YouTube and pick a format that people do. Like, look at Vanity Fair. Just have Brody Spurlock interview the HR person who's playing the game, like, dude, that would be fun and interesting. Like, or have the players interview each other, or,
how do we not have player profiles for everybody that was up there?
Do a Hot Ones challenge with the entire group. Like,
like there's 100, and the lack of vlogging as well by all of these people. Like, I'm sure DM Armada, as soon as he gets home, is going to have like some sort of footage and some sort of talk recap about the whole thing, which I will watch because I like that type of content, but there was no like, hey, follow me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm going live and I'm walking around, outside of LSS, or I'm on the Celebrational and look at this beautiful thing in New Zealand, like this is the point of the internet. They just didn't have that person, and maybe we don't have that person in our community yet who's going to like do that basically for free for them, which I think maybe that's what they thought would happen with some of these people, is that they would just like put out more content than they did, and it didn't happen. But like, great idea, not executed really well. And my last critique is I did not like it that they used the word constants for all of the people who are the community members that were invited, where as like just and this is a personal thing, as a person who has been doing a podcast for this game for 4 years straight, to be use the word constant when I'm like, man, we have not missed it. We have missed one episode in our agreed upon 2 per month free podcast in 4 years in terms of being constant. You know what I mean? And that just stems from my jealousy of not being invited as well, which is fine. You don't have to invite me. But
I was busy being sick, so couldn't.
Yeah, and it's the middle of basketball season. I can't go anyway. But
no, I think it, it would have been cool to see a little bit more celebration outside of just like what really was kind of just normal gameplay streams, except it was like a lot of new cards.
We literally did this on the podcast in maybe our first year. We just went live on Facebook off of a cell phone and got really drunk and played for like 5 hours straight. Me, Isaac, and Mitch, and we had to like, we got in a big argument and we're hammered, and we had to like cut part of that out of the live stream. But if you were like one of 2 people actually watching, you would have been like, you fucking cheated, you fucking sharked me, or whatever that happened. I can't even remember because we got too drunk.
Yeah.
It was like that level of thought was put into it, it feels like.
Yeah. So I mean,
which I'm being hyperbolic, but
I'll withhold judgment until I see if there is some cool content that comes out of that weekend that they're just producing, which I know takes time to make and edit and finalize all those things. I'm hoping we can see a bit more. As you said, they are a very accessible company, which for most games, they are not accessible companies. They are large, publicly traded corporations that have investors to answer to and need to pump money into those people's investments. And this is a company that is small, and you can just at them on Twitter, and sometimes they'll just be like, hey, what's up? And so I think it's warped our perception of how it should be a little bit, but also like, I think it also invites us to hope for some of these ideas that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's not even saying like they did a bad job at it or anything. It's just like, again, it's like some missed opportunities.
Totally.
And if you're going to do all these things and really put in the effort and the money to do them, like, you got to be thinking about all those things. It's like my job. Every time we do a project, we hire a team of people to film BTS, like behind the scenes footage, so that we can have a reel cut for every single project we do that looks professional and dope. And we can show those to people and be like, check out this thing we did. And like, it's just part of the business plan is to do that. And like, it's important, and it's really cool to have as like a thing. So
you just need one person with the login to the Twitter account, the Instagram account, and a cell phone with a little boom microphone, and their job is to just like go live at different parts of the day, and they just showcase what's going on.
Maybe they're on TikTok and we don't know because we're old.
Yeah, maybe.
So if they're on TikTok and we missed it, let us know.
Let us know.
And we'll apologize in our next episode.
Totally.
All right. So let's talk about the real thing here. LSS has introduced Underdog Blitz, which is a clear ripoff of our idea, which we ripped off from Zane the Rock Johnson. And I just want to say that Living Lurkers is the correct name. And it's crazy to me that it's literally the same. It was 100 living legend points and under.
Yeah.
Like literally what we did on our show. If you haven't seen it, check out the reaction step. It's the last one we did. We've been a little absent from that lately as we transition the podcast production. But one of our best super fun. We did a tier list of who would be the best CC deck in Living Lurkers. And Underdog Blitz
Is the
sounds
worst name and is a clear steal of our pseudo intellectual property that's also theirs.
It was also very funny to see that some people were like, "This is fun," and other people were like, "I brought Prism with Luminaris," and you're just like, "Okay, you're about to get effed really hard on this stream, and you can't drop because we invited you here." So,
yeah, totally. So you got to go 0-8 or whatever. Yeah,
yeah. But it was still fun to see like some different heroes, but like it's just okay. It's less good Prism, but she still has Luminaris, so she's still like super powerful and probably even more powerful because she's got Figments now too, and everything has Go again. You're just like, oh my god.
yeah.
So it was funny to see that, and then yeah, I guess the it was very strange to me. I mean, I guess I get why they did a best of 3 finals, but like best of 3 Living Legend, and
they got to
choose
3
hours for 2 games. Oh, that's right. They got to choose the format, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which
that
is cool.
Fun. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But
I
a
think it's
2-hour
cool.
Living Legend CC game is like, ugh.
But I still think they could have. It just anyway. There just was a lack of story through the whole thing. You know, a lack of
it was
the story.
It was just like, oh, this is fun, but like it could have been more. It could have been.
In a way, also, the Celebration is a direct ripoff of Battle Bro pandemic tournaments.
Just weird formats. And a meaningless prize of getting to print your own card in the future set.
Exactly. Same thing as the Goblet of Champions or Chalice of Champions.
Chalice.
That's what we have. So, if you don't know what we're talking about, we're going to play for it. It's going to be there. We're going to have a Battle Bro tournament, and we're going to play for the Chalice of Champions. And if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to episodes maybe 1 through 14, and you'll figure it out. Buckle up, too, because those are like 4-hour-long episodes. It was a pandemic. We had nothing else to do.
It was so great. I loved those.
Totally.
Like, these guys get to play in person. I'm just at home looking at cards being like, I wonder how this game is to play.
Looking at cards. Okay, let's talk about heavy hitters for the last 20 minutes before I fall asleep. We got to see it. Whole set's out now, and we got to see people playing it. I think it looks really fun. I'm very excited to play in this limited format. I like the iteration of the design of this set is in some ways based around these tokens that you can create. And that's like the mini game we're having is like, can you make the tokens? Can you utilize them? You know? And they're really cool. Like, I really love the design of like agility is clearly the most powerful, but 3 agilities does nothing for you. Whereas 3 vigor or might tokens does a shit ton for you, you know, and that kind of asymmetry to those things is, I think, really cool and looks fun.
Yeah. I think it's cool that the tokens are so prevalent and the keywords are, all over the place. I feel like we've kind of had these sets recently where each class was like very much doing its own thing, and these ones all feel very shared. Like the pools are overlap, really, interestingly, where they can all do all of this stuff. They can all create these tokens.
Yeah.
They can all use them. They can all clash. They can all wager. So like there's this really cool overlap, and I think Mr. Hayden Dale was talking about how this is the first set where we have like a complete overlap where every class overlap. We have the hybrid cards that overlap with every other class, so that, you know, there really is this kind of dense card pool that, you know, hopefully allows for some interesting deck building in draft, and sealed, you know, and then just like these different ways of finding victory, and just like this huge set of equipment. Like there's so much equipment. I was kind of like bitching about it in the Discord server, just being like, there's so much equipment. But like it really does allow you to craft an interesting deck that's really trying to do something unique or just specific. And I think that's, I don't know, it looks a lot of fun. It looks a bit grindy. I can't quite tell from watching. I think it does have, you know, I think Brute still kind of has the ability to kind of blow things out, and I guess Guardians do too. So I don't know. I think the pre-con, I didn't see as much of the calling as I did of the celebrational because I was ill, but the pre-con decks seem very grindy, which I guess they kind of need to be to make sure it's balanced a bit.
Yeah.
But I think it looks really cool. Disappointing how many reprints and Brute cards we got. It's like the first real Brute set since Welcome to Wraith, and they reprinted like 9+ cards.
Yeah.
So that's disappointing, but Reiner's got some good Majestics. There's some good cards. It's nice to see like Pack Call, which was previously just in the Classic Battles deck, is in there, which please do this with all good cards from those kinds of products. It is insane that people buy Round the Table for civic steps. It's not what those products are designed for. So stop putting things in there that you can only get there, and people buy it and like pretty much throw the rest of it away, or just proxy the card, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm being pessimistic, but yeah, overall seems really cool. I'm like I said, I'm going to have to open my heart to Warrior a little bit and see if there's something there.
Good for you.
I don't know.
Love that.
We'll see. I'll report back.
What I thought was really cool watching the stream was of the calling Queenstown, excuse me, that those first 3 rounds were just kind of like, you know, in terms of the gameplay, like nothing too exciting happens. People are getting tokens. People are attacking each other and blocking with half their hand. And then, you know, so it was just like attack for 7, block for 6, attack for 7, block for 6 was kind of the vibe. But then once we get to round 4, we get a Hayden Dale matchup, and it's also been long enough kind of in the tournament. You understand the cards and the gameplay a little bit more, right? You've been through 3 rounds. And then that game was very exciting and interesting. And both players were doing a really good job understanding the format and the cards at this point and what their deck could do. And were playing into bigger plays. And there was really some exciting, interesting gameplay happening. And even as an audience member, now I know what more of the cards do and what we're trying to do and that sort of thing. And it looked like some of the kind of maybe more exciting gameplay we've had out of a limited set, a la maybe Tales of Aria.
Nice.
Yeah. But also not as maybe high octane in that regard, but it looks cool, and I'm excited to get my hands on it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it can get to there, but you really need to craft your hands and maybe like pitch stack for those like big combo pieces of big walloping attacks. So we'll see. I'm hopefully we get to play a bit of draft at locals. I know people get tired of it because they go to like 6 armories and then they're like, oh, I've done too much draft. I'm like, well, I've done it once, so I'd like to do it more than once.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But As I was saying, I'm not buying any boxes, which I'm really not for collecting, but I might buy a couple to bring to the hype house. So
That's true.
We'll have our own chance to do that.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, set looks great. I'm excited to play Reiner again. I'm excited to play some Betsy. KO looks pretty great. Yeah, I don't know. Victor Goldmane might be great, and he's such an asshole, which is so funny that even the Jimmy Blanco himself was like, yeah, he's a real, he's like,
That
he's
guy
a tool,
sucks.
basically.
Yeah.
he's like, just call it out. I was like, I get it, but like, I don't want to be this guy.
No.
I want to be Betsy living her best life,
dude,
ripping off a wolf's head.
Colin, not only do we look similar, but all of our opinions have been exactly aligned in this whole podcast.
Wow. Everyone's going to stop listening now.
Patrick and Levi are like, I might play Victor Goldmane. I think it's going to be awesome. Two of our local players. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely not. For principal reasons, I will not be playing this man because he stands for everything I'm against in this world. So I can't do it.
That being said, I am going to try him out and see what it's like.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it and then be upset when I'm like, oh my God, I love this.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
I just won't be able to handle it.
We'll just make an altar. Maybe that'll be, we'll both fall in love with Victor Goldmane, and then we'll make a palatable altar that's you dunking a basketball
For 3.
onto a, like, okay, what if we do like a Scrooge McDuck mashup? Victor Goldmane, and he's just diving into his gold pool.
Are you saying that makes me like him more because it's whimsical?
It's Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck is also an asshole.
But he's a crouchy good uncle to them kids.
Oh my goodness.
DuckTales.
Stop trying to get us flagged on YouTube with all of your singing. You have a lovely singing voice. The other thing I'm going to say about heavy hitters is I really like some of the generic cards that are printed in this. I think they're really interesting. I think Pay Up is really cool. I think Standing Order is a really cool card. I might be trying that in Arachne for sure, because it allows you to you get those scenarios where you're like, ooh, I just pulled Regicide off of a Ponder token, or Shred, I can't really arsenal this. Now you can. Draw into Standing Order. Whoosh.
Yeah.
Put that arsenal at the bottom. 0 for 6. Awesome. Kind of 0 for 6.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then I think the new legendaries are cool. It's going to be, it's a good set. Seems tight.
I will shout out Ripple Away as a beautiful card illustrated by the great one and only Carlos Cruchaga.
Hell yeah.
And also how just horrible this card seems to target some decks that are not the best decks. It's like, come on, man. Really?
He just does the art.
I know I'm not blaming Carlos. I'm blaming.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, come on, Carlos. What are you doing? Well, one day when we get Carlos on the podcast, we'll ask him if he even plays, and he'll be like, no. And then we'll be, okay, cool.
Sweet.
Well, I love your art. Thank you for your service. Yeah, no. The generics, really cool. Tenacity, another cool one. So I think there's going to be some fun meta shaking stuff coming. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
I'm excited to find out.
I think too,
myself.
like this is one of the first sets in a while where I'm also like thinking that all of these heroes could be viable in our current meta in some way, right? It doesn't seem like a real stinker where we don't have a Tekla Vossen, right? We don't have a Riptide, you know? No offense to those heroes, but have not been major players in the meta.
Sorry
Okay.
to this man.
They are awesome in living lurkers. Our
Hey,
format that we created that was Zane's idea first and that we popularized. Said it in our Discord. And we own the
Yeah.
rights.
Yeah, patent pending. Evan's been tearing up with Tekla Vossen. He did pretty well at the AGE Open on Tekla Vossen. So
He did?
I think
The only time I saw him is when he got beat by Zane. And Zane still had 40 life.
that was pretty bad. And it was really funny because Zane was so distraught just before that game. He was like, "Oh man," and then he was just like, "That was crazy." I think they played it again, and Evan won, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But overall, on the day, I think Evan did pretty well. He also destroyed me when I was playing Arachne at Armory, just because if you banish cards and they're evos, that's really good for him.
Totally. Shout out to Blake Meyer, who has won 2 armories in a row on our boy Arachne. Great job, Blake.
It was in a row. Well, yeah, I guess he won 2 in a row, and then he didn't because Dromai showed back up.
Ugh. Yeah.
But shout out to Blake, who doesn't listen, but sometimes guest host.
Yeah,
All right.
I don't really have any like extra deep takes, I think, at this point on heavy hitters. I think there are some more interesting cards for sure. But I am a person who at this point needs to just have them in my hands and talk about what's really cool about them and that sort of thing. So look forward to our set review coming out very soon.
Oh boy. Do I have to do that with you?
No, you do not. I'm going to try to get Zane to do it. So hopefully
nice.
he's
Yeah,
listening.
people want to hear what Zane has to say. I'm saying no
okay.
offense to me.
Yeah, totally. No offense to you at all. It's a big task that is arduous. So I don't put it on anybody.
I look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Anyway, Zane, that's what I've been trying to talk to you about. Stop dodging all my messages and get back at me. This is going to be like, what is this, episode 83, heavy hitters and blah, 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 Colin, the Zane podcast. I've just talked about Zane this whole time.
Zane the Rock Johnson is an important person to us. We love him. It was great seeing him at AGE. Got to chat, catch up on I like Zane because he doesn't force you to just talk about flesh and blood. You can actually just talk about some life stuff.
Yeah.
And really connect. And I look for that too. I don't always just want to talk about what deck I should play next week, but I sometimes do. Anyways, this is welcome to the Zane's podcast, the Zane cast, where we talk about, it's a fan podcast for Zane the Rock Johnson.
Yeah, interesting pivot now that Isaac's gone.
We just fanboy on Zane.
Yeah.
I miss Isaac too.
Could be worse, I suppose. Shall we wrap it up here with a little pick, pass, pray, Colin?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So pick, pass, pray typically is a draft scenario where I give our host and or guest, if there is one, 3 different cards, and they then have to pick one, pass one, and pray another one comes back around. But in this scenario, I wanted to pick, pass, pray the 6 heroes in the heavy hitters set. So, Colin, which hero are you going to pick, pass, and pray comes back around?
Wow. All right.
I know. Instead of 3 options, I've given you 6. So,
all right. We're picking Betsy. because
Beautiful.
she's my girl.
Yeah.
Love everything about Betsy. The vibes, it's giving just good vibes. Strong, good vibes.
Hell yeah.
We're definitely passing on Olympia because, as we've noted, is just too generic. I understand that he's probably very good, but in flavor and everything, just like manila folders of a character. And then I'm gonna pray that my boy Reinar Reckless Rampage comes back because
Cool.
I love him.
I think that's awesome. Love that. For me, I think, and I'm thinking about this as like, what is my pre-release? What am I really hoping for? My first draft, etc. I am also going to pick Betsy for sure. I think that is just a great vibe to embody. And then I'm definitely going to pass Victor Goldmane. I don't want any of that business. If I'm Guardian, I want to be Party Guardian. But then for me, I'm really praying that KO wheels around the table and I can be getting all the might tokens and kind of making a lot of value off of 5 power cards and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the energy I would love to come back around for me. Armed, dangerous. Yeah.
That sounds. I would have picked KO if not for my previous relationship with Reinar, who, if you watch Toxic Tips, you would know is the hero I cheat on my husband old him with.
That's great. Shout out to Kasai, is a close personal friend of mine. She's
gonna be good, man. I think she's gonna be good.
I do want to play her, but just kind of in the streams a little bit. We just didn't see her hero ability really popping off. Nobody was really banishing 2 cards, which is maybe harder in a limited environment. But then why print her for that? Are we just printing her for the top part? I don't know. But anyway.
I mean, the calling winner won on Kasai, so
totally.
there's something there.
Yeah, totally.
But
powerful hero. Absolutely.
Yeah, feels like she will be a big part of the heavy hitter meta as well as the CC meta after heavy hitters.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I mean. I think all of these heroes could be viable in some way in this kind of open meta we have, which is what you would want out of a new set, is to have that, just that type of action going on.
15% more heroes now.
Yeah, which is fun. So anyway, I think that's our episode. We're almost at 2 hours here. I can hear Levi, who has to live in my house now because his got flooded, in the background, and we're watching True Detective for the first time. He is, not me. And he fell asleep during the last episode, so we got to catch him up on some stuff.
Are you starting with the first season?
Yeah.
And then skipping all the rest?
Yep.
And then
we're going to start again at 4. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Which is the true way to do it, for sure. The true detective, way to do it.
The true detective way. Yeah, that's right.
Totally.
It's been good. We've been enjoying it.
Dude,
So check that out.
Can't believe how well, because I've only watched it once and I was like, ooh, geez, decade ago. Is this going to hold up? Is this going to be too like male energy, HBO tits everywhere stuff? And it definitely has some of that, but is an excellent show. Is so well written and the acting is so good. Matthew McConaughey is just one of the greatest roles ever. Maria keeps pointing out, who is my wife, person in her own right. She's just like, I can't believe how weird he stands and walks around. He's doing such a great job. And I'm like, yeah, he's kind of got like nerd vibes.
Yeah.
just go to a calling, and that's like how half the people walk around.
Yeah.
Although less
definitely I mean, in that show, he's not the most handsome. He's a little grimy, so
That's
he
true.
would fit in at a.
Yeah. If you like a
And a
man
Yu-Gi-Oh
on
event
the
for sure.
edge of reality, you know.
On the edge of several realities, I think.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. All right. Well, check out our timestamp cast on
True
True
Detective.
Detective Night Country.
Yeah.
'Cause it's pretty fun. All right. Well, this was so much fun, Taylor. Thanks for letting me be a part of this with you.
You're ordained by God to be part of this podcast at this point. So,
I'm required to be here, actually.
yeah,
So,
totally. So,
but,
yeah.
thanks for making it less of a chore and more fun. For
Oh,
me.
dude, totally. It's always awesome to hang out with you. And thank you. I also needed this evening with you. And so hopefully you at home are feeling the vibes that we had in this podcast. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate all of you. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Attack Action Podcast. Good night and goodbye.
Good night.